All right, folks, welcome to Healthy Ukulele. And we're going to be going over how to approach learning the fretboard and how to get your chords together so that you're playing up the neck in a way that's, I guess, what would the word be? Economical, right? So I've seen so many people play a song, and they can play that song inside out. They know this thing forwards and backwards, but they only play within the first part of the fretboard, and it's getting worn out. They'd like to learn how to move up the neck, they just don't know how. So what I'm going to teach you guys today is the beginnings of how to get to the point where we can see that, right? So that being said, we're going to need to know a couple of things, okay? So number one, we need to know how an octave looks on the ukulele. Number two, we're going to need to know the musical alphabet, which is, just it's a lot easier than you guys think. We're also going to need to know the basics of, like, the difference between a major chord, a minor chord, and a dominant chord. And we're also going to need to know how to read and write tablature and a chord chart. Okay, so let's start with the chord chart, just so everybody understands what we're doing. There's an ukulele, and what you might see is on a fretboard, you might see somebody draw something like that, right? And that'll tell you to put your finger onto the 3rd fret while keeping the other strings open. Now, if I were to just take that off of there, right, then I got this. And that's what our chord chart looks like. So you guys might notice that I sent you out some of these papers, right? So, like, that you could print out. And the one that I'm talking about here is this one, right? So we'd be looking at that. Okay, so whatever the chord shapes that we're gonna learn, we're gonna draw them onto this paper. If you have this paper with you, have it out and have something to write with, because we're gonna be taking our notes down there. Again, sorry about the background noise, guys. We are we are live for sure, and I am with a very loud family. So let's take a look at our first picture. So what we're going to do now is we're going to learn the musical alphabet. And in music, we only go up to G. A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. And so with that said, let's see. Write this down here. Okay, so it looks like this. Right, we have A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. And in music, these are the only letters that we use. Now, you might notice that I've written this out where I have B and C next to each other and E and F next to each other. You see these little clusters here? And there's a reason for that. Between every note, we have a note with 2 names. Okay, so between A and B, there's a space, and that space can be called either A sharp, or up from A, or B flat, down from B. Now, that A sharp and B flat, it's the same note. It occupies the same space, and if we look at our ukulele, right, if I go down here, okay, this open first string, this guy right here, A, right, that open first string is going to give me an A note. When I play this note, that is up from A, or sharp from A, A sharp, and this is B. So this note is also down from B, B flat. Therefore it has 2 names, right? But going back to this picture here, where we said that the B and C are right next to each other, right? If we look here, right, B, C is right next to it. Okay, so we got that. B, C, A sharp, B, C. But notice there was a space between C and D. So that would be C sharp, also known as D flat, and so forth. So if we were to put our other notes in there, we would have this sort of thing, right? Now some of you might recognize the look of this, right? And if we were to draw some extra lines in here, you start to see that this is starting to look familiar, right? It looks like a piano keyboard, and there's a reason for that. That's the way the piano is actually laid out, is based off of this. Okay, so that's going to be the musical alphabet. Now the reason that's relevant is because when we learn our chord shapes, we're going to be moving them up the neck. And so that's where we're going to start right now. So we're going to learn our 5 chord shapes that kind of define the system that I use. Okay, so here's the first shape. This is a C shape on the ukulele. Okay, finger number 3 on the first string, 3rd fret. Okay, now if we were to look here and see this, we can understand, right, that the 2 notes that are C is our open C, because remember our tuning, G, C, E, A, right? That's a C. We said that the first string was A, so we have A sharp, B, C. So I have 2 C notes here. And what's making up this chord is the C, the E, and the G, right? And that makes up my chord. But what I really, really need to know is where the 2 C's are, where the notes that give it its name is. And we call that the root, okay? So what we want to do is draw this picture out onto our chord chart so that we can see how this makes sense. Okay, so here's my C chord, but this is also a C shape, and that's the difference we're going to learn today, is between those 2 words, chord and shape. Okay, so this, what I'm writing above it, is actually the shape. So this would be a C shape. Now, if I took that C shape up the neck, right, and this is where this whole idea comes from. Here's a C, but I have these 3 open strings. So if I just move this and leave those 3 open strings, it's not going to change my chord all the way up. You know what I mean? Because I'd still have those same notes. I have to bring those with me. So what I'll do is I'll bar with my finger. Now I have a C sharp chord. C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, because B, C, E, F, right? Once we see that, we can start to see how this moves up the neck, right? And that's that same chord. So we're going back to this picture, and that's my C shape. But again, we can play any chord with the C shape, just depending on where the roots are. So what we want to do is we want to mark our roots to let us know what notes are the roots. Okay, so like we said, we have an open C, which is that one, right? And we have our fretted C, which is that one. So if I were to take these two notes right here and change the color of them, just so we know, right? Now I have a spot where we can see the root. Okay. All right, we're going to go on to our next shape. Our next shape would be the A shape. Now the A shape is played with fingers 1 and 2, first fret, 3rd string, 2nd fret, 4th string. Like so. And let me adjust this camera right here just so we can see what we're doing. There we go. There we go. Now you can see that hand a little bit better. Okay, so here's my A shape. So if we look at this picture, we said our first string open was G, C, E, A, right? So that's one of the roots. Now if this top string is G, and I move this over, I have G sharp and A. Then I go down to the next string. We said we played this one too, right? So this was C, C sharp. So we can surmise from this thing that we have two A's, a C sharp, and an E. So A, C sharp, and E make up our A chord. Right? But let's take a look on our paper. Okay. We'll go here. And we'll do an A chord. And we said we had two notes that were roots. So I have two roots here. And we have that as our A shape. I'll make that look a little bit nicer, because that's pretty bad. Yeah, not much better. But I have not been known for my penmanship. Right? There you go. But I am OCD, so I gotta move things around to kind of look at least presentable. Okay, third shape. G. Finger number 1, 3rd string, 2nd fret. Finger number 2, 1st string, 2nd fret. And we're going to put our 3rd finger between those two at the 2nd string on the 3rd fret. Okay, and we'll notice that the G, we've got one root there. And since this is E, right? E, F, F sharp, and G, we got two G's right there. So those two would be my root notes. Okay. This one right here, we got A, A sharp, B. And then this string, right? C, C sharp, D. So we can kind of look at this and say, well, G is made of B, or G, B, and D. Okay, let's draw that in. And these two are the roots. There's your G shape. Okay. Next shape. F. Okay, finger 1, 2nd string, 1st fret. Finger 2, 4th string, 2nd fret. Okay, so notice that this one only has one root. So E, F, right? This would be an A because that's G, G sharp, A. And then I still have my C and my open A. Right, so the F chord is made up of the notes F, A, and C. Now, that being said, I have two A's in this instance, right? I have this one and the open first string. But I can also add a C here instead of just playing it open. So now I've got two C's and one A. And that's there, but that still leaves the notes F, A, and C. So this is still an F chord. Nothing's changed except the top note, right? The highest note. F, F, either way. So I'm going to change the color of that note to show you that it's optional. Oops. That's what I need. Okay. Yep. Grab it. Technology's fantastic, ain't it? And I'll say that right now, but watch if things start going sideways with this technology thing, and watch how quickly I tell you guys that it's garbage and all of that. Right. Anyway, here's my root. And we're going to make this one the optional note. And this is our F chord. And you can use your ring or your pinky for this. It doesn't matter which finger you use. Right? If I'm holding this and I'm doing that, or whatever you're more comfortable with. But that's just good to know that that note is there. It doesn't change the chord. It's still F. Okay, and last but not least, we're going to be looking at our D shape. And our D shape is, let's see, grab this thing. Oh, did it again. Our D shape is the one that gets the most attention because there's so many different ways to finger this one. And again, this is another one with only one root. So that's the root. And when I say that there's different ways to finger it, you can use your different approaches to how you're going to hold this. I hold it like that. I just bend my finger backwards. It's over the top 3 strings, bottom string open. Now, I've seen other people hold it like this. Right? First finger, second finger, third finger. I've seen top 2 in that one. Or bottom 2, or the 2 middle and the top one, using different fingers, you know. However you want to hold it. Use your pinky to hold it if you want. I don't care. But the bottom line is that. You get those shapes down. Now, what I want you guys to see more than anything here with this is the roots, right? Those blue notes. If we look at this picture, I have the C has the roots on the 3rd string and on the 1st string. The A has the roots on the 1st string and the 4th string. Right? So notice that both of them have a root on the 1st string. Now when I go to between A and G, I have A has the roots on the 1st and 4th, and G has the roots on the 4th and 2nd. That means that G ties to A via the 4th string. Right? And then G and F share the 2nd string, right? And then notice that D shares a root with C. It's on the 3rd string. Right? So they have the same things in common. So if we were to look at the layout on the ukulele, right, that would mean that here's my C, and if I played my C all the way up, right, I have roots on 3rd string, 1st string. And from the A shape, we learned that the root is on the 4th and the 1st. So same note, that's also C, right? And then from here, the G shape, I had these two roots, right? 4th string, 2nd string. My F had the root there, right? The F shape had the root on the 2nd string. And it would look like the F shape here, right? And then that C is reflected on the 12th fret as well, and that gives me my C shape and my D shape. So if we were to tie our shapes together, here's my C shape. Where that root is, I build an A shape. I build a G shape. Build an F shape. I can put my optional note down, remember that? D shape, back to the C shape. So C, A, G, F, D, C. And all of those are C chords. They're just different shapes. Now, in order for us to do this, we have to be able to move that shape around. Okay, so we're going to try each shape and we're going to move it up a fret. Now, there's a little trick I use to this. Okay, whatever finger you use the next finger in line, and then you free up your first finger. You pretend that that's not there. So let's play a C chord. Then I'm going to play a C chord with my pinky. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bar the 1st fret, and I'm going to move everything over. So now my pinky's on the 4th fret. I have a C sharp. Okay, if I move that up one more, I have a D. Okay, but we said that this was a D. Well, yeah, they're both D. See that? Okay, let's look at our next chord. Here's A. Remember what we said, we're going to move over to the next finger, right? So this note is played by this finger. This note's played by this finger. Now if I move these two up and I put my first finger on the 1st fret and bar it across like that, I've got an A sharp, also known as a B flat. But in reality, do I need to hold all of this down? No, right? Because I've got these two held there. I just got to hold that. So now my fingering looks like this. Right? And if this is a B flat, that's a B, that's a C. Because remember the musical alphabet, right? B and C are right next to each other. So that means that this is a C chord, so is this. This is a D chord, so is this. All right, let's go to the next one, G. This one could be trickier. It's a little bit harder to hold, right? If I've got my fingers like this, I'm going to move my 2nd finger to where my 1st finger is, my 3rd finger to where my 2nd finger was, and my 4th finger to where my 3rd finger was. I've got my G shape, open note. So if I move this up, that open note comes to the 4th string, 1st fret. I could bar this whole thing, but there's no reason to, right? Because I just got to hold that note. That gives me a G sharp. If I move this over, I'm at A. If this is a G, and that's an A, then that means that this is the same chord, right? Wherever I see this, I've got this. But remember, we just saw this. We played that B flat, B, C. That's an A shape. That means if I put my finger here, I've got a G shape. I got my next C chord. Right? So C, the A shape, the G shape. Let's try it with the F. Here's my F chord. Right? I move my 1st finger back. I've got my 2nd finger holding that, my 3rd finger holding that. Okay, so now what we're going to do is We're going to move this up, but those two open strings have to come. So what I do is I bar across here and play this. Now again, I don't need to hold all of this. I just hold the bottom three. Right? And if I do the optional thing with my pinky, then I don't even need to hold that. I just got to hold that note right there. Right? Sorry about that, guys. Phone going off. Okay, there we go. There's my F sharp. Right? If I move it up one more, I got a G. So this G and that F sharp, or that F shape, are the same chord. G shape G, F shape G. But we just saw that earlier when we went C, A shape, G shape. So where this is, that's where I do my F shape. I've got another C, right? C chord, C chord, C chord, C chord. C shape, A shape, G shape, F shape. Now, the D shape, when we're looking at octaves, right? The rule is skip 2 frets and 1 string. So here's my open C. I skip 2 frets and skip a string. I'm down here, right? And I catch my next C. Now I skip 2 strings and 1 fret, right? Skip over these 2 strings and skip over 1 fret to there. There's my octave. That gave me my A shape. And remember, top string is the same thing as this, right? So I could go skip 1 string and 2 frets. I end up here. Now between the F shape and the D shape, what I'm going to do is skip 3 frets and go up a string. Right? That gives me the same note. So what I'm going to do is play my D shape here, and that happens to be where that optional 5th was. Remember that? The optional note for the F. If I mark there, I got my D shape. I go back to the C shape where that was, because it shares the same picture. Right? So I've got C shape, A shape, G shape, F shape, D shape, back to C. That's all the notes tie together on the fretboard because of the unique tuning of our ukulele. Now, here's the thing though, right? All of this stuff, tying them together, if you don't know why you're doing it, then it's irrelevant. But the reason we would have to look at things this way is because, say we're playing a chord, right? And somebody's playing this. I don't want to play the same thing as that guy. I want to take a different harmony, right? So I'll go up here. Or maybe go down here. Right? All the same thing when we're playing in different places and we're taking different parts of these notes. Or if I'm playing by myself and I want to find a melody note, right? Like, for example, right? If I wanted to make that into chords, right? Because instead of playing the B flat down here, I play it here. Back to my F. Right? We can find our chords and have the melody lined up in it too. So that's another reason for this. And the last reason would be just because you're able to explore the fretboard more and expand onto that. Now, I know how to play C everywhere. Great. What about the other notes? Well, here we go. What if I played F? Same note. Remember, skip 3 frets, go up a string. Here's my F. Put that finger there. Build a D shape. D shape ties to the C shape. C shape ties to the A shape. A shape ties to the G shape. And we're back to the F shape. If you can reach it up there, I don't got enough room there, but that's all the F chords on the neck. What about a tough one like E flat, right? Well, here's D. If I move this up, I have E flat. Okay. And that's a D shape. D shape ties to the C shape, ties to the A shape, ties to the G shape, ties to the F shape. Okay, that's all our E flats all over the neck. Great. So we know all of our majors, right? And what's an easy way to remember this stuff? If you look at that, C ties to the A ties to the G ties to the F ties to the D. So I always say cops always get free donuts. C, A, G, F, D. Cops always get free donuts. Easy way to remember. And if we take that phrase and we go back here, and again, starting on G, get free donuts, cops always. That's all my G chords. Right? Well, let's take a look at going in a little bit harder on this. We have these notes on here. And what we're going to do now is we're going to mark what they are. Okay, so we said that those blue dots are the root. We know that already. Okay, so in my scale, whenever I play, I have the root, the third, and the fifth that make these notes, right? That make these chords. Now, we want to understand this a little bit more in depth than just, you know, the basics of, I guess, how to hold this chord here. We want to understand what these notes are, and when I move it, how it changes the chord, right? So in order to understand that, we need to understand our scale. So let's take a look at our scale, right? And how we build a scale. And then we can understand what these notes are. So go in here. If I were to put up this thing here so you could see it, that says whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. That's how we build our major scale from any of these notes, right? If I were to take my A scale, I go A, whole step to B, right? Then B, whole step to C sharp, then a half step C sharp to D, whole step D to E, whole step E to F sharp, half step or whole step again, F sharp to G, and then from G, or G sharp in this case, half step to A, right? And that gives me my scale. So if I were to play that on my ukulele, a whole step is 2 frets and a half step is 1. Okay? Whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. Does that sound familiar? Sound of music, right? Right? It's that do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Right? That's my scale. So, in this case, if I played an A chord, we had the root 1, right? C sharp, we said that was 1, 2, starting here, 3. Right? There's my third. And then E, 5, my fifth. And you'll notice in all the major chords we have 1, 3, and 5. Right? So let's go back to our picture here, where we have our chord shapes, if I can find it on my paper. There we are. Okay, so now we can list what these are. Wherever I have my, in fact, let's make this a different color. Something you can see real clear. That was about green. Okay, so where the blue dots are, that's 1, that's the root, right? And then we have our 3, are 5. Here I have 1, 3, 5, 1. 1, 5, 1, 3, 3, 5, 1, 3. This is a 5 optional, right? 5, 1, 3, 5. And that's all that is. Okay? Now, check this out. All I do to make a minor chord is I flat my 3. Okay? So here's a major chord. For example, if I played G, right? We said that this was 1, 5, 1, 3. If I got to flat my 3, it gives me a minor chord. G, G minor. Here's my F chord, remember that? If I flat my 3, it gives me F minor. Why am I holding this here when I do that? Well, because if I play this, this is my 3, right? So is this. I got 2 3s. So in order for me to move this down, right, I could play this, and that's fine. But if I play the open first string, it's not relevant anymore, right? Because now I've got these 2 notes clashing. I can't have the note and the half step down from it, right? That'd be weird. So what I want to do is take this note. We said that was 3, half step to 4, whole step to 5, and put it there. This is my minor. Same thing with the C shape, right? C, I have 5, 1, 3, 1. So if I took this 3, I can't make it go down without tuning my uke different, right? It's not going to work that way. So what I have to do is take this note, put it up to the 5, and then play this here. There's my 3, same note, right? This is the same thing. This is also an E because C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E. Same note. This I can flat, right? I have my G there, so I'm not missing out on anything, right? There's my C minor. Okay. So far we've seen G minor, F minor, C minor. The other 2 are much easier. Okay, let's look at A. To make it minor, I flat my 3rd. Becomes A minor. D. Here's my 3rd, flat. There's D minor. So, let's look at it on paper. Check this out. All we want to do with all of this stuff is, let me see this copy. I can move, oh wait, go like this. Oh, did it again. Avoid that. Oh, there we go. And what I'm going to do is put this here, and wherever I see a 3, I'm just going to flat it. Okay. Now, because I can't move this stuff, right? I'm going to go like this. Take these 2 notes. Oh, I'll leave it there. I'll throw it away anyway. You know what? I got numbers in these dots. So let's do this. Erase that. Yeah, how do I erase it? There we go. Okay, now grab these 2. Ah, stupid. Again, technology, great when it works, but when you're like me and you forget what you're doing sometimes, not so great. Ugh, how did I grab 3? Thought I grabbed 2. There we go. Open. There we go. Okay, so there we go. There's my notes. Okay, and so now this note became the flat 3, right? So flat 3, and this is the octave of the 5. So that's still there. Okay, with this, all we got to do is move that down to here and put a flat in front of it. Okay, same thing with this guy. Move this down here, put a flat in front of it. Okay, this guy, same thing. Oh, what am I doing? There we go. Now, because I've flattened that, right, that's no longer relevant. And then, last but not least, grab this guy, move it down, and that's a flat. Right, so now I've got all of my minor chords. Okay. So in case you were wondering, yes, it does work the same way. Check it out. C, A, G, F, D. Cops always get free donuts. Minors. Cops always get free donuts. Back to cops. Right? F minor. F shape. Free donuts. Cops always get. G minor. Get free donuts. Cops always. Right? We can find all of our notes based off of this. Okay? So the way we're going to practice this, and what I want you guys to do this week, your homework is to be able to play the major chords and the minor chords across the neck. You're going to try to find every chord. Now remember, what's every chord? Well, that's this, right? G sharp, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D sharp, E, F sharp, G sharp. And we want to find them in all positions. And then do all of the minors. Right? So for example, if I were to start off with G sharp, I'm going here. My G sharp. I could say that I move this up like this, right? And that's a G shape. F shape, D shape, C shape, A shape. That's all my G sharps. Then I go to A. A shape, G shape, F shape, D shape, C shape. That's all my A's. A sharp. Same pictures. Start with the A picture, G picture, F picture, D picture, C picture, B, same thing. Now C, we got to start off with a C shape. C sharp, right? Same shapes as the C. D, start off with the D shape. Donuts, cops, always get free, right? D sharp or E flat, right? Donuts, cops, always get free. E, same thing. F, free, donuts, cops, always get. F sharp, same pictures. Yeah, sorry. Free, donuts, cops, always get. And then we go back to G, get, free, donuts, cops, always, and we're back to our G shape, right? Or G sharp, where we started. Now, I just played through all of those in major. You do the same thing in minor, and that's going to be your homework. Now, what we're going to learn next week is the dominant chords and the diminished chord, and how the diminished chord works with the dominant chord. Okay, so right now we're focusing on triads, but eventually we're going to turn this into full chord pictures, right? You ever see like F major 7 on there, or B minor 7 flat 5? And you're looking on a chord chart, you're like, what is that chord? Well, next week, not only will you know that chord, but you'll know it in every position on the neck. Hopefully you guys had fun, and I see you guys on Tuesday, and we can go over the dominant chords and the connection to the diminished.